Hello and welcome to the Transparent Talk podcast. I'm your host, Zach Pinto. Today I'm with a very special guest, Nuno. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, man. Happy to be here.
There's a ton of different topics that we can go into. First thing I want to overview is maybe give you the opportunity to share a little bit about yourself. I'm, of course, going to add like a very extensive bio talking about all the cool things that you do. But if you don't mind, just share a little bit about what you're doing right now and the stuff that you've done.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneur now. I work from home. I've been running a marketing agency, a coaching agency, and a staffing agency for the staffing agency is the newest addition. It's been running about 2 years very successfully. But we've been doing marketing for about close to 15 years, always as a side hustle that turned into an actual career. And coaching, I've been doing about, let's say, not in the corporate world, but in the natural setting for the last 5 to 6 years. And all those businesses all talk to each other. And I've built a pretty good business or set of businesses doing this. And it's been my dream to create like a big ecosystem of where one business feeds another business and I can just try to solve all my clients' issues all at once. And that's been my goal for the last like several years. And it's running really well where we are right now in that presence. But I came from a corporate background, believe it or not. I was in corporate for 25 years, both in the finance industry and also inside of hospitals. I went from one stressful situation to an even another. It's probably why I lost all my hair. But
Yeah, debatably a more stressful situation, even.
yeah, it was funny. I left hospitals, I did that for about 7 years. It was good
What were
stuff.
you doing with hospitals?
I was, believe it or not, it was my first job out of college, like real, I would say real management job. And it started off as a part-time. It was my third job in college, meaning three jobs. I was working three jobs in college. I was a bartender, I was a waiter, and I was a housekeeper, believe it or not.
Oh my
And I
God.
was doing that all while trying to attend classes in between. Went to Rutgers University and literally living off campus in a small little tiny room. It was really the weirdest situation ever. I had no money, paying my own way. So it was literally became my third job. And it was my junior, sophomore year that I got it. And apparently I was really good at cleaning floors. And then they said, would you just manage? The graveyard shift was, if I don't know if you don't know what the graveyard shift, it was 11 to 7. So it was 11
Oh boy.
p.m. all the way to 7 in the morning. And it was only like 5 or 6 guys, and we were just all like working nights, and it was a pretty big hospital. And I got really used to doing that, and then I got really good. They asked me to become a manager at night. Did that for about, I say, a couple months, and then they're like, "Hey, we'll give you a full-time salary, and we'll give you a whole bunch of bonuses if you come and work evening shift." So went into evening shift. That was 3 to 11. I was going to college in the morning, then doing that, and then bartending and waitering wherever there were open shifts that I wasn't working. And then I actually ended up working at clubs in the city. That's a long other story. But
You're
um,
crazy.
yeah, so
Continue.
that was
Yes.
my introduction to management. And then there, the way it worked was I started with the housekeeping 3 to 11. Then they asked me to manage transport, which was like managing people that get transported from one place to another. Then
Mhm.
it became building management. Then it was like a whole bunch of like telecom. I ended up managing like five different departments under like the service bucket. And I did that for a good amount of years. And then I just kept going into bigger and bigger roles in the hospital. And then I went to day shift, became an operations manager. Then from the operations manager, became an assistant director. And it just go in. But believe it or not, that was like probably by far one of the most stressful situations because like you were responsible for inspections, hospitals shutting down, meaning shutting down where they can't take patients, crazy emergency situations. I was there for in Bayonne Medical Center when they were taking in victims from 9/11. So
Oh God.
I was part of a unit where we were out there hosing people down from all the chemical stuff that got put on them when they were coming in. And people coming off boats and
Yeah.
literally coming to the hospital, hosing them down, and then they were getting treated.
All while you're still going to school at this time
Yeah,
too.
I think at that time I might have been graduated already. I can't remember,
What were
but
you
or
doing at school
I
before?
believe it started off as computer science and then it went into business administration. And at some point in
Okay.
time, I think I try to see if I can go into law. So it was like the three biggest humps, but I ended up figuring going into business administration and just finishing out my
So,
degree there.
so at that period, you're deciding I'm working on, there's a lot of opportunity to grow, and I've been taking every opportunity that they've given me to a better position, to more management.
Yeah, well,
When
that
did
and I
you
was living on
decide?
my own, so I need the
Yeah.
money. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I had to went from like a one room, literally a room, to a room with a kitchen, and then just an apartment, and then it got bigger and
Yeah.
bigger.
You're in Jersey currently, at least
Yeah.
that's one of your homesteads right now.
Yep.
Were you in Jersey at during this time as
The
well?
whole entire time. The whole entire
Okay.
time, never left Jersey. So I've been Jersey bound for a very long time. since I've never left the state as far as work wise or that. Only recently, in the last several years, have we made it up where we're buying properties in different countries and so forth and
Yes.
so on. But
Yes.
then
Yeah.
from there, it got so stressful because I became what's called a troubleshooter. So I was the guy that they dropped in hospitals to fix them and reopen them.
Oh
And I was
no.
doing that for a national company called Aramark and Sodexo. They were really big
Yeah.
companies back then. And then I left. I got recruited into going into banking of all things because I said, you know what? I heard of banker hours and I was like, 9 to 5 sounds credible. But then I don't know if you know what 2008 was. 2008 was the financial collapse of all of banking in 2008. And I literally joined at 2008 at the beginning of the financial collapse. Like I didn't know it was happening. It literally happened the month after I joined. And then I stayed in banking through all of that from 2008 all the way till 2020. And then some part in between there, my dad got cancer. My mom was having a really hard time paying the bills. And then when you're working at a bank or anywhere else in the corporate world, you get maxed out in bonuses, meaning there's no other money you can make. So you could be the best employee ever, you can max out your bonuses, but then there's no additional cash. And they needed additional cash. So I ended up like having to figure out like a part-time job or another job. And it's really hard when you're working like an executive level or a management
Yeah.
level job and then try to get another job afterwards. So I did everything from at home cell phone repair. I was like doing everything from like handyman work on the weekends. It was like crazy. I tried so many things to make money. And then finally somebody got me into like website building. And this was like 15 years ago. This is like crazy. Like,
It was a
well, longer than
great
that. It was
time
like
to get into
20
that
years ago. Yeah.
specifically.
It
Yeah.
was like when you were coding websites and I figured it out and I was pretty good at it. And then I just really took off with it. And I was charging at the time like 400, then it went from 400 website to 1,000. But it was always something secretly I was doing on the side. And like, I couldn't advertise because I was in banking. So I wasn't allowed to advertise. So a lot of my stuff came in from just referrals and people doing a really good job. And I think you and I talked about it because the same way you do your business is all mostly through referrals and all that, which is great.
Yes.
It's a good business. And when you're really good at it, referrals come in pretty handily. Like you don't ever have to worry about not getting business coming in. Even to this day, I got 4 referrals this week alone and I'm already past that stage kind of thing, but it was wild. So all that led to me running an agency part-time for about like close to anywhere from 15 to now, all the way from 15 years ago, 18 years ago.
So So when you say running an agency, starting off with websites, did that sort of transition into all the cool automation stuff that you do now? Because I
It
know you
did.
specialize in a lot of different stuff, but how did it sort of transition through
Yeah, so
to
that's
what
a
it is?
really good question. So back in the day, man, when you were building websites, everything was coming up. Like email wasn't a really big thing, then email came up. So you had to go from learning websites to learning what email was all about. Then from email, you got into ads because ads were something you needed for companies you were serving. And it just kept growing after that. But you had to like almost master it because it was harder back then. It was like nothing was as easy. Some things were easier. Like ads were really easy back then. Not when you first got into it, but when you got the hang of it, there was a lot less restrictions. You could do a lot more. It was crazy. So anybody can be a star overnight. And we made a lot of money during those transitional years. But what's wild about a lot of the softwares now is that you had to go and like learn each part individually as you were going. But the craziest part was that it was like when we were first starting, we had no idea nobody had any idea what we were doing. Like we just were all learning at the same time. So a lot of people I came up with, it was funny. Sometimes I would get called from other people that are doing websites and say, hey, did you learn that you could do this and that? And I'm like, no. And like we would all try to do it. And then we would all start selling it. And then where AI automations come in is so my day, just to give you a really clear idea, it started at 4 or 5 in the morning where I was working for like an hour before I left for work. I left at 6, anywhere from a 1 hour to a 2 hour commute. In work, I cannot really be distracted. There was no way. My 8 to 9 or 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 was always jam packed with work. There was no like breaks or anything. I was a manager of first a bank, then districts, then 1,000 people. It was like I progressively like always geared up at work. So there was no time to do like work at work like other. So a lot of my agency work happened in the morning and then happened in the evening. So while I was driving home on the cell phone, driving carefully, of course, and like the second I got home, I spent like literally an hour for my wife, and this is before I had kids, and then immediately was working all night until 11, 12 o'clock at night. And then
I was going to
restarted.
ask. I was literally going to ask, like, how did you end up meeting her? Because I know you have a beautiful family now, but I'm like, how did you even manage a relationship on
I
top of
don't
all of
know. I
that?
like at some point in time, it was funny. We met through a mutual friend, and I came from a divorce. It was like I got divorced, and I literally said I don't ever want to meet women again after a year of dating. And then after that, I literally the day I said that, my friend took me to a bar, and the only woman who was in there was my wife.
This
It just
kismet.
ended up being the woman I talked to, and we just really hit it off. Long story into that, but believe it or not, what was wild about this whole thing was I had to create automations, and this is why I got into the automations game, and this became the bread and butter. What I got really good at was automations because I had to run my whole business in automations because I couldn't be 8 to 6. I couldn't be there to answer questions or do things. And I always thought, how much more can I minimize my work and get a lot more accomplished and done? And it just became that. And once it became that, I just got better and better at it. And then over time, as the technology came up, it became even easier to automate. And then we were just building full automation packages, not only for me, but for my clients. And to this day, I have like clients as old as 13 or 14 years old have been with me. Like they've been with me since the get-go and they've never
That's
left.
crazy. Yeah,
And
that's
they're still with me.
crazy.
I'm like, one of them is actually using my vacation home this June. And we've built like multiple businesses together, meaning they come with me. I have this business idea and we build it and like it starts from scratch, which is wild. And sometimes they've come with me with no money and now they're a couple of them are multi-million dollar clients now. So it's insane, but it's
Yeah.
been that kind of growth.
Seeing your clients go from like little babies starting out needing a website and growing them to that level of scale, what do you learn from that, or what do you see over and over again play out maybe from people who don't make it
Yeah,
there as well? What are the commonalities for success
a
that you
lot of them is
notice?
consistency of the people. A lot of them will sell the thing before they actually start advertising the thing. Like they'll
What do
be
you
out
mean?
there
Yeah.
selling and completing. I'll give you the perfect example. We had a buddy of mine who's now been a long-term client, I think 7 years in total, started an agency with no website, no way to collect money. He was literally invoicing out of QuickBooks, and all he had was his phone, and that's how he was getting clients. And he was
Wow.
then once he got a client, then he's now I need a website to build for them. And it was more like he was building client. I didn't have a website until like my 10th or 12th year.
Yeah,
Um,
there was a book I read about that called The Lean Startup. I don't know if you've heard of it, where it's like
I did. I've
you
read it a million and one
basic.
times. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, so you basically the idea behind it, I'm gonna butcher it, is like you slowly, exactly how you say it, you basically progressively grow with your business instead of just focusing all your time on I need to be perfect before I start.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, the people that have launched the most successfully were the people that were out there selling before anything was built. They tested the offer, they were out there, and then when they got it, they're like, "Oh no, I have to build this," and then we were just building it. And it was wild. It was wild. I say out of all the successful people that I've been with, the ones that are the longest, and they're the most adaptable are the ones that are super consistent and were out selling before trying to make everything perfect. And this one in particular that I'm talking about, literally, I think he's gonna break 10 million this year, and he's been in the business only 7. In his first year, he broke, I think, 250,000, and then already on his second year was already pacing at
Wow.
a million.
So what type of businesses did you go after in the beginning days when things were
I
like
didn't, and
super
that's the
stressful?
funniest thing. I didn't. I would take anybody under the sun. I could care less. It was like because this was always like a side project. I could take a little bit more risk. So I never had to worry about income. This was always secondary income. At first I did. At first I took
Mhm.
everything and anything, which I had so many lessons there. Like I was like, and so I'll give you the perfect example. There was one particular customer that I picked on. It was the worst customer that I could ever get. We like the fonts were off by a centimeter and the image was like
Oh
a
God.
little
Yeah,
bit
you're
too
giving
big.
yeah.
And I
Yes.
only charged $400 and she made me go into the city at the time. Now I had no money, and going into the city for renting in New Jersey will cost you $60 alone just to pass to the thing and maybe for parking. And I must have gone to the city 4 times. I literally made $20 on this account. But then because it was such early earnings and I was so desperate for work, it was one of my first ones. But it like that one account, because she was so critical, taught me so much on what to do and what not to do, that I literally everything that could have broken, I broke on that account. But it was like one of my very first ones. But it was like I learned what a bad deal was. I learned what kind of client I never want. And now it's funny. Now the second I even get a hint or a smell of those kind of clients, I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is going to be a fit. Here's your refund, and I'm out. Just because I know what it's going to be. And now I can be a little bit more like I know the clients I want to work with. And if, like I said, I wasted a lot of time on bad clients that were just not the ideal clients to work with that I want to grow with. Like all the
If
clients
you
I'm with
were
now.
sorry to cut you off. If you were
Yeah.
working with someone and they were in a similar position where they were taking on like a lot of clients that weren't really the right fit for them. Would you recommend that they have to deal with those, like they have to work through that and that's how they grow to a degree? Or what would you
Yeah,
say to
like you
them?
can't do that
Because
when
you
you
grew
first
so much
start.
from those
Yeah.
accounts.
Yeah, it depends, right? Like your first account's always going to be tough. That doesn't matter who you are, right?
Mm.
Or any business, your first electrician job, your first plumbing job, your first like painting job. I talked to all those guys. This guy, again, this gentleman that I talked about, his first coaching job was a nightmare. Like it was like your first one is always the bad one. It's very rare that a lot of people get like a first client and it's like the dream client. And it's very, very rough. What you don't want to get into where it's not going to be profitable and you're going to lose money on your first client. So I'll give you a perfect example. And I coached this just the other day because I do a lot of coaching calls on agencies that are growing. And the one woman comes on and all she's supposed to be doing is setting up AI to take calls and AI to do chat widgets. That's it. And she gets in there. This client wants, and the laundry list was 20 features that were all these astronomical things. And I'm like, do you even know what half of those things are? That's what I asked her. And she's like, no. And I'm like, how much did you charge? She's like, 1,500. I'm like, how long do you think it's going to take you to do this? She's about 40 hours. I'm like, what's your
Mm.
hourly rate? And then she did the math. She's, oh, this is a bad deal. I'm like, it is. It's time for you to move on. I tell them you're not going to do any of this and you're only going to do these things. Because, and just being upfront with the client, hey, I can't
Yeah.
do any of this. I can only do these things. If you want to do these things, this is my original price. All these other things are things that I just don't do. And I understand if you need to find somebody and just walk away. Because
Mm.
by the time you waste in the 40 hours getting a client that is not paying you for the 40 hours that you really truly deserve, you could be out there and hunting for 4 new clients that are willing to pay the price
I
of
totally
these
agree.
clients.
Yep.
But it's very hard for you to do that when you're first starting because you're so desperate and you're like, oh, I got to please the client and I got to do all this. And it's not about pleasing the client because you always want to please the client, but it's, does this even make sense? You know what I'm saying? And that's
I
like,
totally understand what you're saying. So before, in that phase where you were taking those part-time clients and you were still working a lot and you're actually working a ton of hours in a stressful environment, what was the transition to full-time business and cutting that out of your life? Because so many people are caught right now. So many people I talk to are in between and they're like, I know I can probably make something work, whether that's a plumbing business or whether they got their tickets and they could do that. And working for the job that they don't like, that they need for the stability. So they're caught and, oh, I'll take a job on the weekend or 2 or 3. What was that moment for you? And is there any commonalities between people starting off and like what the leap looks like?
so there's only two paths. There's a path of match your income and then leave. That's what I did. I already was matching my income, but then I was like, I don't want to just match my income. I want to double it. And that
Mm.
became my goal for the first year. Can I double my income so then I make more money than I was working at the bank plus my agency? And can I double it? And I was already matching my income of whatever I was making on the bank. So if we were to transition, there would have been no real loss, right? It would just been
Yeah.
the same. But then I was like, all right, let me challenge myself. Let me double my output, which I could because now I don't have the commute, the stress, the 8 hours that goes into nowhere, basically. And so path number one is you match your income and then you gradually leave, which I recommend for people that are really struggling financially. The second is you just go with the anticipation that you know you can generate that much more business now that you have the time back that you wouldn't have going to your
Mhm.
job. But that takes commitment, though. That takes a lot of self discipline and commitment in order for you to do that. But
Mhm.
I got to be honest, most people that work 2 jobs have a lot of self discipline. You just got to be able to make that shift of can I generate that much business to now finish my income? And
Something there, yeah, if you don't mind, something there
yeah,
that really stands out and I want to ask you about is resistance. So for those of whoever's listening that doesn't know what resistance means, it's when you know you should be doing something, whether that's writing every day for 20 minutes or whether that's doing some sales calls or whether that's writing your website content or whatever it is. And there's these things that you use as excuses. It could come in the form of, it honestly could come in the form of anything. For you, operating at such a high level for so many years, do you struggle with I obviously know you're human, Nuno,
oh,
but like how do
100%.
you
No, no,
deal
man.
with
I mean, like,
resistance?
look, I'm struggling with it right now. And I'll give you a perfect example.
Please.
So I do a lot, right? I run multiple businesses, like I mentioned. A lot of them businesses do run themselves. I've gotten to that point where we've built out a lot of infrastructure, a lot of like SOPs, a lot of guidance, a lot of training. But even now, I came to a goal that I want to double my income this year. I got to that point again where no, I'm not settling. I want this. And I've set certain goals. Like I want to do like a webinar and a workshop every month and a brand new workshop, not an existing workshop. I don't want to do the same one. I want to build a new one every time. So imagine that stress that I put on myself where I'm going to do this and I'm already 4 webinars in. And I'm like, I
Congrats.
am super committed to making this the 12th. But there is a lot of resistance to that because there are days between managing 3 companies, a wife, kids, and 3 kids, not like one, 3, and trying to be an active
Yeah.
father, trying to be in their life and everything else, where you get till 6 o'clock and you're like, I'm done. I can't think straight. I have no, and a lot of our job, and me and you, Zach, we're coaching, we're out there making videos, and
Yeah.
what people want to understand for at least that social aspect of it, you got to be on. You got to put a face on. You got to smile. You got to be upright. You got to be like, let's go. And man, and there are days where I just can't do it. And no matter how hard I try and I try to force myself, it becomes a little bit challenging. So
Does at that point there need to be like a reset period? Whether that's, you know what, like when you notice that, is it just obviously there's probably a couple of different things that you could do. You could
there
probably leave
is,
the
there
house.
is. Yeah, yeah.
I know
Well,
that
and I'm
you
glad you
also
asked
work
me.
out. You're big into the gym and space as well. So I know there's a couple of strategies if you don't mind
Yeah,
talking
so
about.
no, like this is a fantastic question because I think this is where people struggle a lot. There's always resistance. There's resistance when you wake up. There's resistance when you take a break. There's resistance when it's too much. There's resistance where there's not enough. There's always resistance.
Oh yeah.
Something hitting you in the face. There's kids. There's wife. There's pressure. There's diseases. There's sickness. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always some kind of level of resistance. So there's a couple of things that you have to develop for yourself, and everybody's going to be a little different. I'll tell you what works for me. Time blocking is something that you hear a lot of jargon on and everything else, but it's really simple. And I'm going to take all the jargon away from it. You
Please.
basically schedule time to do different things. And when you don't do those different things, instead of deleting it, you don't delete the thing, you move the thing. And that it persistently carries through. So then you're like, oh, it's catching up. It's catching up. I got to get to it. And it
I see
creates
what you're saying. Yeah.
so you can
You
get to
drag
it.
it in your
That's
Google Calendar across or Apple Calendar or whatever.
correct.
Yeah.
I think you've seen my Google Calendar.
Yes.
It's like a color smorgasbord of there's no open spots. And if there is, they're usually getting filled. And even for my wife will block things out where I am allowed and not allowed to change it. Time blocking is one. The second is you got to walk away and do something that is productive but not distracting. Meaning go meditate if you're a meditating kind of person, go to the gym like I do. I have a morning, my mornings are usually Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I go to the gym for about an hour and a half, work out, weight lift, run, whatever you
So
need.
that's typically like a 5-day split type idea
A
with
5 day like legs and like legs up a body split or whatever else. And I go in
Mhm.
and sometimes it's cardio, depending again on the resistance I'm feeling that day of what I want to do.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of getting there and be like, oh, I don't want to lift today or I don't want to run today. Okay, go lift. Okay, go run. So I have like different things I could do. What, but what you can't do is go into a spot where you don't have like a timer set of, okay, I got 30 minutes of a break, coffee, talking to my wife, which is great. That's the one thing about working at home that I love to do. I will come
Oh, I
out of here
totally
and
agree.
just
I totally agree.
I just love going to talking to my wife. I'll just go in there and like, hey, I got 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes, and we'll just talk. If it's one of my kids, I'll go play around with them for a little bit, and then I'll come on back. But I have the timer on, so then because then I know it's okay. That was a mind break, and then I'll try to go back at it again. If I go back at it again and I still can't get through my resistance that day, dude, it's not gonna be today. I'll literally take it on the calendar if it was like a block to record, and I'll just move it out 2 days out. And I'll be like, okay, I'm doing it at 4:30 in the morning before I go to the gym.
That's actually right there. I want to stop you because that's where things come up for me sometimes where it's like, how does your brain internalize that? Whereas it's not my day to day. I totally get that. But how is there no shame? Is there no
Oh,
emotions
there's
that you
plenty of
attach
shame.
that
There's a
to?
lot of hatred.
How do you filter that out so that it doesn't pollute the next day or even potentially time with your family at dinner? It's like you had a,
Yeah,
do you know what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
look,
Like what
it's
happens
hard.
there?
It's hard.
Yeah,
I learned 2 things in that same time blocking
please.
kind of atmosphere. One is something called task switching. There is multitasking, and then there is task switching. I would say, master level, advanced level task switching. There is a
Please
big difference.
describe what that
Yeah,
is if you don't
so
mind.
there is
Yeah.
multitasking. Multitasking is like I am now, right? Like not now, like meaning usually in a coaching call, there is usually like a coding screen up, there is a chat window over here up. There are multiple things going on, and I'm also coaching at the same time. And people are just used to the way I coach because they're usually working on something and I'm like waiting for them to respond, but I'm not wasting my time. I'm usually hitting a button or doing something on the sidelines.
Mm.
That is multitasking. Task switching is when you're working on a task, you stop brain activity on that task, and you literally move to the other task. and nothing interrupts you while you're doing the other task. I learned that about 8 years ago, working with like a men's coaching group that I was part of. It was crazy, but it was a very intense coaching group, and we learned task switching. And the way they did it is it started off with like exercises where you were going from one, you know how you go from one exercise to another, like in a CrossFit thing.
Yep.
You can't do
Yep. Like
two
a circuit.
exercises at once, right? It's
Yeah.
impossible. So when you're in the CrossFit thing, you're in that station, you're doing that station work, and your mind stays focused. So it became like that's how I trained my brain to be like, okay, we're doing coding now. Nothing else. I shut everything off. I focus on
Execution mode.
yeah, I go execution mode on just that one thing. And if you guys want little caveat and little crazy thing that I picked up, there
Please.
is an app on your phone called Focus Keeper. I don't know if we can see that, but I'll try to do my
I'll link it. I'll link it all in the show
yeah, I
notes
mean,
for
this
sure.
it's I'm not an affiliate, but this is what I use for me. And what I do is it has the weirdest thing, and this is psychological. It has a ticking clock that I hear and a 25-minute timer. It's part of the timer, like a Promoto timer. Promoto timer is like the theory of you can only focus on something at 25 minutes at a time, especially if you have like massive AD like I do, or you're a multitasker.
Oh, I love that. I actually haven't heard that. I like you hear things, but I haven't
Yeah,
heard that
yeah.
specifically. And yeah,
So what I do is the days that I'm really having a hard time, I put the tasks on there. You work 25-minute increments. I need to hear the clock ticking because the clock ticking for whatever reason, I know that I have a time limit that when this has to get done, and it pressures me to stay super focused and getting the task done.
I love
And
that.
if I go at it and I'm failing at it because I just can't get my focus in, I just move in and I work on something else. I move to the next thing that was on the task list.
So let
And
me
then
ask you this. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. No, please
yeah.
finish, please.
And then I just keep going through it until things get done. But that's how I'm able to do what a very abnormal way. Now, again, this doesn't work for everybody. Other people can only do one task at a time, and that's perfectly great. It's just like the order of importance of I follow the 80-20 rule. Is this going to solve 80% of my problems, or am I solving for 20% of my problems and am I going after the laziest thing first? So I always try to focus on those people that are very big, much like I can only work on one task at a time. They have to focus on the 80% tasks that are solving 80% problems versus trying to focus in on only on the 20%, because that's where a lot of people lose a lot of stuff.
I love that. So I wanted to shift gears a little bit to more
Yeah.
because that's really solid advice for anyone dealing with granular day to day. When you scope out, you have so many different companies with different visions. I know they intertangle a lot. I know that you have a YouTube channel with over 50,000 subscribers. Congratulations, by the way,
Thank you.
on that. And I want to talk about how do you execute visions on all those? Because it, for me, I know visualization is talked about so much in the community of entrepreneurship. Like you have to really understand like where you're going to go, not just on paper, but see it for yourself. And then once you can see it for yourself, you just start to naturally gravitate to the outcome of
No,
that.
no, no.
What's your belief on it? And is there any strategies that you use, like a weekly
There
review or
is
like a
like,
monthly?
yeah. So I, every quarter and every year, I do revisit those visions of what things are going to be. And I reallocate them. Like Rapid Active Marketing, which is our marketing agency, has been re-envisioned like 17 times in the last 15 years. It's changed. Digital Voltage Media, which is the coaching company, has re-envisioned 40 times in the last 15 years. And Architects, same thing, which is the staffing company. They are constantly interweaving and changing. And when one changes, the other vision for the other one does. I take, and it's great now because now I have a thought partner. I have an AI that I just talk to. I use like AI to help me come up with ideas and just make sure that the visions are aligned, look for gaps or blind spots that I'm not seeing. And I'll talk to the AI. I'll put it on voice mode and I'll just have conversations with it. And I'll say, hey, this is what's going on in this company. This is what's going on with it. This is the revenue here. This is the revenue there. This one's growing. This one's stagnant. Hey, this one is growing, but I don't understand why it's growing faster than this one. And this is the vision for the thing. Does this still make sense? Do I need to eliminate products? And I have these conversations and I try to do it once a quarter because I always review where we are production wise, like once a quarter. Like March is coming up, I'll be reviewing all three businesses at that time. And we literally almost did a preempt review on the Architects business because we created a little sub business into that business. And now they're working together, and that was involving. So
Let me pause you. Just is there a specific AI that you prefer or a
yes,
way that you set it up that was good? Or if you were to give like an easy recommendation to someone, like this is your dude, this is easy. You could load it up on chat. What would you recommend and what do you use?
Yeah, I prefer Claude. I think Claude is just more well-rounded at this point. I think it has better logicking and
Mhm.
reasoning. 3.1 on Google is also really good. And Google is on everything. It's in your email, your calendars. It just creates a better atmosphere for you to work through. So there's a lot of these that you can leverage and do. So it's just more of a preference. But ChatGPT is okay. It's on the bottom of my list lately. I think it's okay. A lot of
Mhm.
people like Manus, but Manus eats up to a lot of credits. I think
Mhm.
Gemini all around is pretty good, but you got to do the pro or the thinking version where it goes back and forth and it builds off to that, right? So just be very intentional, but you can also write for Google, you can write a gem. A gem is like a predestined like AI that just works for you, that has a little bit of history about you. And you can do the same thing with projects in Claude, and you can do the same thing with chat GPTs and custom GTPs in OpenAI or chat GPT.
So I know you talk a lot about this on your YouTube channel. Could they find tutorials
Oh,
about these?
100%. I have tutorials on how to do all of this. And we're about to launch another Udemy course that's going to be kind of coming out. We have Udemy courses. We have
Awesome.
Udemy or Udemy. I always say the wrong thing. I don't know which one's the proper.
Neither do I.
Yeah, it's like
Can't
Zapier,
ask me.
Zapier, Zapier. It's those two
Yes.
things in our world that nobody understands that aiming for. But we have courses out there that are meant for people that are beginning or doing any of this sort of stuff. But I will tell you that going back to our original kind of point of view of like how I made all this happen, time blocking was one, task shifting is the other. AI automations to do all the stuff for me that I didn't want to do that saved me time to run the three businesses. And now we have AI agents everywhere that are doing stuff in there. Between what we build in Claude Code, lovable apps, where we're vibe coding apps that solve very unique problems.
Yes, I've seen a lot of the stuff you're doing with Lovable. So cool. Do you want please share a moment there with about that?
Yeah, just even now. So one of my long-term clients and really good friend is a publisher for books. And right now we're getting to the space where he's working with like publishing houses and all these other crazy things. And the software that they have is too antiquated. So long-term client, I literally just said, hey, let's build an app that does all this for us. So we don't have to worry and be accountable for all these people. I got on a call with them on a Saturday and literally from 1 to 5, we built the app.
Wow.
An app
That
that
is
would probably
remarkable.
cost 5 years ago like $1 million to build, just because that's what the development costs were back then. Now, literally cost us 6 hours of our time and maybe $40 in credits, if that. I don't think I even burnt through the credits, but I'm just
Is there,
yes.
do you run these workshops regularly for Lovable? Because yeah,
We do.
what does
We
that
have
look if
a
someone
vibe
wanted to
coding
learn?
challenge that lives in our VC incubator. VC incubator is like the sub business that basically is working off of architects, where we
Oh yeah, awesome.
yeah. And we have a free community, and a lot happens in the free community. We got people building apps. We hold workshops in there. We also have a VIP group that we have for that particular thing where we're teaching people how to build apps. And now we're just getting deeper into it, like coming up with agents and like where they're, it's not just a little app builder that's doing it. So before, and I'll give you an example. If I was to start an agency now, I would just be creating AI employees to run my agency. One to answer calls, one to answer chat messages, one to do my social media posting, one to answer emails, one to do all my like lead generation and calling. And I would just build an army of AI agents and maybe have a person just to make sure that the bots aren't going crazy and they were doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's the kind of level that we're at and that we're moving into. And I'm not trying to scare people, but it's literally the level that we're at. And some of the things that we literally can build in hours, it's daunting. It's like being the person that started this about 15 years ago, where one website would take you like weeks to build because you had to hard code every single page. You had to launch it. You had to understand how to launch a website. You had to put it on the web. You had to make sure you had a www to domain. It was so hard. It was so hard. Like getting an image to even look right. And it was so hard back then. And now you've seen me do it. I build a website with AI in like
It's
3 minutes.
instant. Yeah. So let me ask you this, because I would be doing a disservice to everyone listening if I didn't talk about and ask you questions directly about your YouTube channel and your growth that you've seen there. So many people I know have so much love and creativity, like so much energy there, but they get so worried about actually creating their own YouTube channel or getting into their own space, or if they're a business owner and they're like, should I be getting on to this type of thing, like making YouTube content or making Instagram content? What's what got you transitioning into that? And I know you do a lot of speaking engagements as well. So I know that probably intertangled at some point, but if you don't mind talking about
No.
how that
And
came
I
in.
think everybody, in my opinion, should be on YouTube. In my opinion,
Okay.
I don't care if you're an 80 or 90-year-old, 80-year-old person, like with a very unique hobby that only you know how to do, like crocheting or model building, or it's like your business. You're the guy that repairs lawnmowers and you're doing a couple. Let me show you how to repair a lawnmower, and let me show you how to like rebuild an engine, or whatever it is that you do and you have a passion for, or that you do for a full time. The age of influencing marketing and people gaining trust. We're in the new era of distrust. There's a lot of distrust. There's distrust in media. There's a
So much
distrust.
information.
So it's so much bad information where people can't see you do the thing that you're talking about that you know how to do. Where I did the reverse. All I do is show people what I do, meaning you build it. And if you don't want to build it, then you come to me and I build it for you. But you know that I can build it because I literally just showed you how to do it. So the odds of you not telling me I don't know what I'm doing, just go look at the video. I know what I'm doing. So that's the line that we've built ourselves into, is that's what we're facing and what we're understanding. So it's very important for people to understand that when you go out there and you're putting yourself on YouTube, and even you don't even have to do a face channel, meaning don't show your face, show your hands of whatever you're doing, and or show your screen or whatever it is that you're out there and you're an expert in. The reason that's important is, and why we started doing it, is this. Imagine you working for an agency and you're building these incredible systems, but the same question happens at least 7 times a week. Instead of answering the question 7 times a week, and probably if these people are asking these questions 7 times a week, you probably have other clients or other people out there in the universe that are going to have the same question. Why not just make a video about it and keep sending that video over and over to people, but from YouTube? My first initial like review, like people going into my websites, we're reading. It was just me sending people to like, I don't want to explain this for the 14th gazillion time. Here's the answer to your question.
Take the link.
Just click the
read,
link.
read it
We're clicking
yourself.
the link and watching it on YouTube, and it was
Yeah,
getting some
yeah.
views. And I think I've given you the same advice, Zach. You have a great channel too.
Oh,
Like,
I've
it's like,
absorbed tons of your content. Just for anybody listening, if you're in the marketing space or if you're interested in learning, implementing any automations into your business, whatever business that is, Nuno's the guy to go and watch. Your tutorials are so easy to follow. So
but
easy.
because you know what it is? Like, I don't know about you, but it was hard. Like, hard entrepreneurship was hard. It was really hard back then. But I'll give you the perfect example. This weekend, two things, right? Wanted to change like the light on my car. What's the first place I go to?
Yeah.
YouTube. I ordered it on Amazon, got the light, got in. Okay, whoa, what do I do with a light? I don't have done this before. Went on YouTube. It's a 10-second video that some mechanic did somewhere, has over 800,000 views. And he might not be selling anything, but it has 800,000 views. You'll forever know that guy. That's the guy that helped you out with changing your light bulb. It took me all of 3 minutes, something that I've had to go through manuals and try to figure it out and all that other crap back in the day. It took me 3 minutes. That was number one. Number two, my lights in here, or Philips Hues or whatever that is, I automated my entire like office.
What
I
does
can
that
now
mean? Yeah.
turn off the lights.
For those
with
of
a
you who are
button
just
on my
listening, his
computer.
lights are shifting colors right now.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but I can do it from my computer because I looked it up. I didn't know how to do that. That would have normally taken me like hours of reading. I learned it in 3 seconds. Like, it
So
was
where do you
literally
think
guy
people
goes,
are getting stuck then? Is it information overload? Is it execution? Is it
I
just
think it's
getting your
execution.
mind fog? Is it mind fog? What is it for you? What do you
I
think?
think like entrepreneurship, your business, anything that you have going on, three things that are happening in the world right now is the attention span, the level of distraction, and the level of not executing. Most people are just scared of failing or just not doing anything. We have a course that literally we tell you how to do everything in the system of high level, which is like one of the CRMs we promote. And we love it. We think it's an incredible system. Everybody that has a business should be on it. And we literally have a course that you can pay less than $20 for that shows
Yes.
you everything. Like, I teach like everything. Ask me what the completion rate is of that course.
What is it?
It's 3%. We
Really?
have 5,000 students. 3% take the full thing. Three. Because they buy it, they store it, and I'm going to get to it today or tomorrow. Maybe it's a week from now, 4 months from now, and they never open it.
And they never schedule it in their calendar. And that's
Never schedule in the calendar. or they never do anything to get about it. People are so afraid of failing, taking on a new thing. They say that their time commitment. What you want to, everybody here on the call, and if you guys just want to try this for yourself, literally put your phone in another room and lock yourself in with one of those Pomodoro timers. These little like tomato looking timers. You can buy them on like Amazon for
I
about
have
$10.
one. I literally have one right
I love it.
here.
Remove all social media. Put yourself in whatever your task is. Put that darn clock on and give yourself 5-minute intervals, but you can't touch your phone for the next 5 hours. The amount of work you'll get done is stupid.
I love that. Thank you so much for that.
But the
I
problem is
yeah.
you're not willing to give up your phone. Most people aren't. That's the problem. We've been sucked into the algorithm and it feeds us everything that we want to see. And if we get into a loop or in a black hole, that's what happens. But for anybody out there, look, single parent, multiple kids, married, not married, single, job, no job, money, no money. It's all about consistency, and it's all about just taking the next step and moving one forward step at a time and scheduling yourself to do it, and then removing all the other things away and just going at it. And I know that's really easy to say, but it's not easy for me to get up every morning and go to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. I do that because that's the only time I can go. I hate it. Oh man, when it's cold outside, getting that push, that foot, that first foot that I got to put out of my bed onto the floor, you must think it weighs like 5,000 pounds. It's the hardest foot to move in the morning, but it has to happen. And sometimes I have to like literally yank myself out by taking the full covers out and being completely cold or like miserable for the first 3 steps that I get into my closet to put like some sweats on and go. The problem is that it's that initial step and that initial pain of, I just got to get this done. I just got to do it. Because then once you're in it, when you start touching, when you start speaking, when you start like doing, you just get it done. Everybody just gets it done. But it's that initial forward
Yes.
step that just like really people struggle a whole lot of. And if they can just do that on a daily basis and motivate yourself or give yourself a carrot. If I get 6 hours of this done today, I'm going to do my favorite thing after this. Ice cream, dude, it doesn't matter. That's why I got fat for a while, because I kept hitting goals and it was always an ice cream. Like 7 ice cream goals. Don't do ice cream if you're going to have multiple goals. But it was theory and the reaction to it. But
Thank
anyway,
you so much for saying that. I think is going to translate over like in a ton of different people's lives. So the last thing I want to do, because I want to be mindful of your time, is give you the opportunity to talk about where you're at right now, what types of businesses you run. I'm going to link everything in the show notes, regardless of what you mentioned and forget to mention. But what are you doing now, and what should people know about you and where to find you?
yeah, so we're really big right now in helping businesses and people move forward. That's always been my motto. That's been my motto for the last 15 years. So whether you're at home, a person working, and you're trying to do a little bit of side income, whether you're a person that is completely broke and no money, and you're trying to figure out and make ends meet for your family or whoever, for yourself, whether you're, again, just an entrepreneur and you're just trying to figure it all out, the YouTube channel, we put so much passion and time around. We give so much away for free. How to start from zero, literally zero. We've literally done a start from scratch series where zero money, zero everything. We used all free things to get a business up and running. We did it. We did it live. We actually tried to get our first client on the
Wow.
call.
Yeah.
And anybody can do it. The second thing is we have a bunch of free communities. We have one on Go High Level alone. We have another one on vibe coding. If you're not understanding what vibe coding, let me give you an understanding what it is. It's literally where you can go build an app just by speaking to it. And the year of 2026 and beyond is going to be all about using AI and agents to build stuff that is going to be very personalized that other people can use. And you got to jump on this little bandwagon.
Cannot be resistant to it.
You
You
can't
cannot
be
be
resistant.
resistant to it.
And again, it's free communities. And we give it away from free is because look, my dad was a struggling entrepreneur and nobody helped him out. We lived in cars, like we didn't eat certain weeks. It was crazy. I don't want anybody ever going through that. That's what kind of motivates me. And that's the bear that's chasing me on a daily basis, is always going back to those places where I didn't have any money, I didn't have any food, and it was just a ridiculously tough environment. I lived in one room that had a bed. It didn't even have room for a nightstand, like a bed, where I did everything on. I did my homework on. Sometimes I slept in waitering clothes when I worked in a Mexican restaurant full of guacamole. It was insane. I shared a shower with like 8 other guys. Like, it was an intense environment, and that's what I did. But everybody, like, nobody needs to experience that. And I want to make sure that nobody that I know can ever come to me and goes, I don't know where to start, or I'm stuck and I don't know how to get out of it. Go to my YouTube channel. If you can't
I
figure
love
out 1,000 ways of like how to get yourself out of this, I don't know what is. And that's my goal. My goal is to impact as many people as possible and just help them moving a little bit forward. Even if it's like one step more forward than it was yesterday, then I win. I can leave a legacy. I can go back and sleep at night knowing that I provided that little good in the world that's going to help other people. And I do believe in the butterfly effect. I help you, you help the next person, and so forth and so on. And it does just become a better environment. And like life nowadays is really tricky, man. Can't trust a lot of things that are out there, but you can trust when people are actually doing the stuff they're telling you to do by watching them work. And that's why I do the thing that I'm telling you to do. So you're not going to be like, oh, he's just talking about it, he's not really doing it. Because that's what I can't stand, the people that talk it. But then when you ask them to go do it themselves, they don't know what they're doing. But again, you'll have a lot of great free advice, a lot of great free communities and things that you can join that will just help you get yourself out there. And I'm telling you, we had an 86-year-old person build an app. We had a 9-year-old build an app. So there is no
Wow.
excuse. Like literally, if you have $20 and even on free credits, you'd be surprised what you can do. You can go ahead and do this for yourself. So I'll just leave it at that. And again, just we welcome everybody and come when ready, but by all means, come and check us out.
Well,
And again, just move one extra foot forward. And I think that's where it's going to really be at for everybody.
I can say that you've definitely inspired me. So thank you so much for your time. And maybe one day we'll do a part two. And thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Nuno.
All right, cool.